Elden Ring, the latest entry in From Software's Soulsborne series, was recently released on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation and received rave reviews. This widespread praise and attention have put a lot of eyes on Elden Ring, encouraging many people to try it out as their first game in the series. Anyone who has played a Soulsborne game knows that the first experience in the series can be grueling.
You are maidenless.
The games are notoriously unforgiving, and Elden Ring is no different. So, to give new players a helping hand, here are some Elden Ring beginner tips. First off, obtain and use the Flask of Wondrous Physic. At the Third Church of Marika on the eastern outskirts of Limgrave, players can find the Flask of Wondrous Physic. This tonic can be customized with the use of crystal tears, which players can find throughout the lands between, with each granting their own bonuses. Once consumed, players obtain these bonuses for a set amount of time. Some choose to use it as more of a potent healing potion, while others opt for it as a combat or magic buff. Either way, it can be a massive improvement to a player's abilities and should not be overlooked. Next up, experiment with weapons. Most gamers can fall victim to settling for a familiar thing. If one has used a straight sword in previous From Software titles, then they'll likely feel a pull towards that same weapon class in Elden Ring. The truth is that it's hard to know what feels fun and satisfying to use if it's never tried at least once. Between magic wielding, bows, and other types of swords, there are dozens of weapons, each bringing something new and unique to the table, and it's best to be well-rounded early in order to be prepared for the end game. Following that, keep an eye on equip load. Because of the hands-off approach of the Soulsborne series, many players will go through an entire game fat rolling, which is the term given to painfully slow rolling animations, without realizing that it isn't the default animation. The speed of a player's roll depends on their equip load stat, and for those wanting to utilize quick rolls and agile movement, they need to be sure to wear light armor and level endurance. Next, make smart use of spirit ashes. One of the many new gameplay mechanics that Elden Ring introduces to the Soulsborne series is Spirit Ashes, which are summonable NPCs that will help fight tough bosses and enemies. To put it bluntly, all new players should take the time to find and collect Spirit Ashes regardless of their build type before trying to challenge tough bosses. These ethereal assistants provide excellent distractions to let the player get in extra hits and clutch heals. Move on from tough fights. The most significant difference between Elden Ring and the other Soulsborne games is its open world. The game gives players complete freedom in where to go and what to do, with a plethora of boss fights and enemies available at any time. Consequently, if players are stuck on a boss and find that they're only doing minuscule damage, it's important to move on to another area, as this is a clear sign that the player is underleveled. Many newcomers are having this exact issue with the Tree Sentinel, a boss that is far too tough for beginners to fight, intending to teach them the importance of moving on from tough opponents.
Emboldened by the flame of ambition.
Moving on, rolling is better than blocking. Given how many shields are available in Elden Ring, new players can be forgiven for thinking they're an essential item for melee builds. Although they definitely serve a purpose, rolling is a far better defensive method for those with good reaction times and pattern recognition. Rolling through enemy attacks provides counter-attacking opportunities and also prevents the significant stamina reduction that comes from blocking attacks, which can break the player's posture and leave them defenseless. And finally, buy the crafting kit. Onboarding for series newcomers can be a bit obtuse at times, and one key point in which this is apparent in Elden Ring has to do with the crafting kit. This can be bought very early on in the game from the Santa Claus resembling merchant known as Kale. This item allows players to craft on the go, so it's of the utmost importance that one snag this as soon as possible. Otherwise, most players assume that crafting isn't a part of the Elden Ring experience and miss out on the ability to make items such as arrows, weapon buffs, and healing ales. And with that, you should be slightly more prepared to venture out into the sprawling world of the lands between. So, we hope you enjoyed.